Autism 101. Hi, my name is Avery Allen and I'm a BCBA LBA in Northern Virginia. I have been working in the field of ABA for about 6 years now and supervising for over 2. If you are interested in learning more about my consultation services, supervision services, or want to schedule a time to talk, please reach out via email. What is autism? According to the DSM-5, autism is defined as persistent deficits in social communication and social interaction across multiple contexts, including deficits in social emotional reciprocity, deficits in nonverbal communicative behaviors used for social interaction, and deficits in developing, maintaining, and understanding restrictive, repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, or activities, including at least 2 of the following: stereotyped or repetitive motor movements, insistence on sameness, inflexible adherence to routines or ritualized patterns or verbal or nonverbal behavior, highly restricted fixated interests that are abnormal in intensity or focus, hyper or hypo-reactivity to sensory input, or unusual interest in sensory aspects of the environment. Symptoms must be present in the early developmental period. Symptoms cause clinically significant impairment in social, occupational, and other important areas of current functioning. Disturbances are not better explained by intellectual disability or global developmental delay. What does that mean? People who have received a diagnosis of autism usually struggle with conversations, social interactions, reading social and body language, eye contact, maintenance of peer interactions and friendships, engaging in repetitive sounds or words, lining up toys or inappropriately playing with toys, extreme reactions to changes in their schedules, obsessive interests, adverse reactions to sounds or textures, lack of understanding and using nonverbal communication, and engaging in repetitive behaviors and movements. This is a picture example of a child lining up their toys. The onset can vary greatly and depends on how severe the symptoms are. Most individuals with autism are diagnosed early on, around the time language would typically explode in development, around 2 or 2.5 years. Usually, lack of verbal communication or regression in verbal communication skills is one of the first and most common signs. Additional signs can include sensitivity to loud noises, lights, food or smells, repetitive bodily movements, and a lack of eye contact or desire for social interaction. How to receive a diagnosis. A diagnosis must be provided by a pediatrician, psychologist, or psychiatrist for the individual to receive a medical diagnosis. At times, a school may provide an autism diagnosis. However, this is not a medical diagnosis. Typically, an individual must receive a medical diagnosis of autism in order to receive ABA services. If you suspect one of your clients may need a diagnosis of autism, recommend that the family receive additional testing and potential diagnosing from their medical provider. This is a picture of a child receiving an assessment at the doctor's. Behaviors. How do I know if behaviors are characteristics of autism? They'll typically interfere with daily functioning. The individual may be unable to or have difficulty with interacting and communicating basic needs with others. They have no interest or lack of interest in engaging with others and even prefer to engage by themselves. They may prefer to play with toys inappropriately to a point where it interferes with their ability to play with toys appropriately. For example, lining up the toys, putting the toys in their mouth, watching the wheels move on cars. They may also have large reactions to changes, transitions, and denied access. This can include screaming, crying, self-injurious behavior, aggression, etc. Here is a video example. Stereotypes. Below are some common stereotypes about people with autism. As we know, autism is a spectrum, and those who have a diagnosis have a wide variety of challenges, difficulties, and skill sets. Communication difficulties. Common communication difficulties. Typically, Individuals with autism struggle with communication as a whole. These can include things like answering and asking questions, engaging in a conversation, and or understanding social rules about a conversation, understanding complex or abstract topics, preservation on particular topics, filtering out inappropriate comments or topics, speaking too quietly or too loudly, and repeating sounds, words, or phrases, and echolalia. Echolalia is defined as the repetition and imitation of what others have said. It is a typical part of verbal communication development between the ages of 1 and 2. Typically, children should start to decrease the amount of echolalia used between 2 and 3 and start forming their own sentences. Concerns arise when children become older and continue to repeat without any or limited spontaneous language. Echolalia can be a repetition of words or phrases, often after it is immediately heard. For example, if mom says, "Do you want to go outside?" and the child imitates outside or go outside instead of answering yes or no. Scripting is very similar to echolalia. It involves the repetition and imitation of things someone has heard. It's often described as delayed echolalia as it occurs after the individual has heard something. It can come from lines and scenes from a TV show, books, YouTube videos, etc. At times, it can match the context and it can be lengthy. If interrupted, an individual may become upset. For example, if the mom and child are playing blocks and the client states, "Do you want to go outside?" but doesn't make a move towards the door or to clean up, this is probably the child scripting mom asking earlier. Another example, if mom and child are playing blocks and mom asks the client to clean up and the client states, "Please don't forget to click the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up." Difficult behaviors. Examples of common difficult behaviors include aggression, self-injurious behaviors, elopement, stereotypy, noncompliance, disruptive behavior, and tantrum behavior. Determining the function provides insight to why a behavior occurs. It allows a proper targeted intervention to be developed. There are 4 main functions: attention, escape, tangible, and sensory or automatic. Social difficulties. Common social difficulties include resistance to and or difficulty with engaging with others, difficulty sharing, lack of eye contact, difficulty with conversational skills or inappropriate conversational skills, difficulty with recognizing social cues, difficulty with social language, and difficulty with social boundaries. Parallel play is one of the first social interactions children learn to have. It provides them with the opportunity to learn how to play with toys prior to engaging with others. It's when 2 children will play with the same item next to each other, but not actually with each other. Independent or adaptive skill difficulties. Common independent skill difficulties include large or unproportioned reactions when asked to transition, change, or demonstrate flexibility, difficulty with completing age-appropriate tasks like getting dressed, brushing teeth, or bathing, and difficulty with organizing tasks and time management skills. Sensory needs. Common sensory needs. Sometimes individuals with autism spectrum disorder have different sensory needs to be filled and or avoided. Common sensory needs include heavy or light pressure, sensitivity to bright, dim, or flashy lights, loud or soft noises, sensitivity to certain textures, smells, and or tastes, and repeating movements and sounds. Next steps. Once a diagnosis has been received from a medical provider, it is important to determine how to obtain ABA services and the individual's insurance coverage. ABA services can help families learn, understand the diagnosis and their child's current skill set, as well as learn new skills. Proper terminology. Proper terminology. Person-first language, "My son has autism," versus identity-first language, "My son is autistic." The results of a study done with those who do have a diagnosis of autism in regards to how they refer to themselves showed the results as 50% referring to themselves as an autistic person, 11% referring to themselves as a person with autism, and 25% using the two interchangeably. The consensus was that individuals themselves should choose how others refer to them. Previously, diagnostic levels included high functioning or low functioning. However, currently, diagnostic levels include high support or low support to describe the severity. Here's a video of writer Sarah Kerchak discussing living life with an adult with autism, and she describes her views on how others should discuss it. Scale variation. There are many scale variations as autism is a spectrum. It's important to always assess the individual as a whole, as they will have strength in some areas and require additional support in others. There are a wide variety of presentations, and there are often gaps in skill sets. Co-occurring diagnoses. Sometimes when an individual is diagnosed with autism, they also have a co-occurring diagnosis. These are common ones. If you have any questions, you can email myself or MDA Africa at the emails listed below. Thank you.